Good evening. This is Maestro Cortello with a Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite modcast. Today we got a 3v3 on Arena of Ashes. I almost blanked out on the name. Our first player today is DjCrusader, playing as the Grey Knight Pro Captain, this tanky melee hero who cannot be knocked down or suppressed. He is the leader of the Grey Knights, a Space Marine chapter that has never had one of its members fall to chaos. And he is tanky. He can get some pretty crazy things like the Nemesis Vortex, which is quite fun, and that Canticle of Absolution, which is quite not fun for the people playing against it. His first teammate is Typhus, playing as the Techmarine. The Techmarine is a ranged hero to start out, can now get an axe in the Elite mod, much like Techmarines, as I hear, are like in the lore. He can support vehicles extremely well, potentially better than any other hero in the game, and he is also one of, if not the best teams hero in the game. Just the support you can get from a relay beacon in teams is really, really incredible in terms of what that does. Finally, so we really have a Space Marine side. We got Necrophagist, Necrophagist, playing as the Apothecary, healing commander. Looks like right here we have a Dark Angels Apothecary, and he's doing quite well in combat, but now he's going to die. Oh no, he goes down. But he is a healing hero. Won't be too bad that he's dead, because he can always revive himself with Laraman's Blessing. Next up, on the other side, we got ThongSong, that thong, playing as the Commissar Lord. The Commissar Lord is a slightly tanky melee hero. He can get an energy shield. He can also execute his troops to make them fight harder. Right here, though, I suspect he's going to go after the strike squad, chasing after his guardsmen. Ooh, but we have him execute. Execute, of course, buffs units, giving them a 100% damage increase, but making them unable to retreat. Next up, we got TLV Kain16, playing as the Lord General, because I'm in command, that's why. The only hero who is a squad. He is a support hero, but he does pretty well both in melee and ranged combat. Has an ability with every single one of his war gears. And then finally, we have deltakyklos? We're just going to call him Delta. Delta playing as the Warboss, yet another tanky melee hero. This huge orc who can stomp, can run over things, can be knocked down and suppressed, though. So I've had an influx of replays ever since just mentioning that there's a relative drought, and then I just had a bunch sitting in my inbox. And my goal is to cast every single one of them. Beta 6 is already out at the time of this recording, and I'm going to try to cast all of these Beta 5 replays. But it looks like the red team is doing pretty strongly in this bottom lane, this bottom area where two teams tend to go and fight together. Multi-laser turret is up for Kain, but it quickly goes down to a Flamer upgrade already on Necrophagist Tactical Marines. The Flamer, of course, a pretty good upgrade these days. Of course, it has always had its utility as a way of bashing generators and securing an economic advantage, punishing your opponent really, really badly for losing an engagement. And it's quite a bit better now with a decrease in the power cost. It is now 15 power instead of 20 power. That's actually an upgrade it's had for kind of a while now. As well as the fact that it does, I believe, 100% fire on the move, making it quite good rushing forward as an area of effect tool against squads like Guardsmen, Shooter Boys, etc. Typhus says relay soon. That's why I think that he meant to say relay soon. Yeah, he's going for a relay beacon. Sometimes I mess up and say relay bacon. But we also have a bunker as well, which is actually another thing that is very, very powerful in teams. Just as a reinforcement point and healing station, which that can also be, I would even say, almost be a little too powerful. But the relay beacon, if anything, is better, since you can, of course, retreat right to it. Looks like we're going to have the Apothecary back on his feet in a second, and some very nice-looking Dark Angels, recolored Dark Angels to be red, looking very, very nice. I think I may have said that I wonder if I said that the Apothecary is Dark Angels, and I meant to say that he is an Ultramarines Apothecary. Looks like we're going to get the Apothecary revived up here. And these Tactical Marines overstaying their welcome, lucky not to lose a single model at this point. And unfortunately, I don't think Delta has paid attention and has seen that his Warboss has been revived. He's going to lose it again, and in a even worse spot now. Ooh, and these Tactical Marines lose two models right there to that Lord General grenade launcher. So definitely overstayed the welcome there for those tactical Marines. Now have to reinforce 2 models when they had actually managed to survive quite miraculously with 2 models, even at about like 25% health. Up here we got DjCrusader with a double strike squad build into an interceptor. This is an extremely expensive build. I'm assuming that his teammates must have built the generators for him because that's an expensive build, certainly an extremely wreck-heavy build. And he's got some grenade launchers on his stormtroopers, which is a pretty powerful upgrade. It looks like over here we have the Apothecary down again a second time, and a turret, yeah, a turret in the middle of this place. This basically just this arena, this square arena or diamond-shaped arena can be very, very powerful, especially when combined with a relay beacon. Relay beacon behind it. You have a Devastator next to the relay beacon as well. Here goes the relay beacon. So as far as what he could do about this, ooh, and it's going to be really tough with another Devastator as well. This Devastator from Necrophagist, so all this suppression is going to be really tough. This might pressure Kain into getting the... Ooh, you know, I mean, I'm actually blanking out on what the armor is, but I know there is one armor you get that has an ability that makes your squads immune to suppression. You might want to consider that, maybe get that, as well as getting a flamer on even one of his guardsmen, as much as Imperial Guard players usually don't like to do that. Shooter Boy squad goes down for Delta, so Delta not doing very well at all in this lane. And another Orc squad goes down. Terrible, terrible. Up here, meanwhile, it looks like DjCrusader, I don't know what he was doing, either lost his engagement or something, because it is now ThongSong is actually coming out of the top lane because he's pretty much already conquered it, and he's getting a generator bash completely unopposed. Where are DjCrusader's units? Oh, he's actually fighting. He actually just tried to help triple that bottom lane. Of course, he gave up the top, so he gave up the top. Kain16 Devils in here right now, right here. It's dangerous to jump in against Kain16 Devils. You can, of course, disrupt them a bit with basically the assault jump, but Typhus loses a scout squad right there from these Kain16 Devils, I think, using Old Reliable after having been executed. Again, doubling their damage. So the damage from that Old Reliable with that execute could have been very, very powerful. And I think that's also something... I've never heard of anyone specifically using this combination, but maybe executing Kain16s and then using Old Reliable on a squishy squad, like, say, Guardsmen or Scouts or even another squad of Kain16 Devils, could be very, very powerful. But we have squad losses going on all over the place. We did have a Manticore strike from Kain. He also lost a Guardsman squad. So a lot of players here kind of struggling a little bit. And it looks like, do we have like new Guardsman models or something? I don't know. Oh, but look at all that heavy automatic fire. I love the sound of a heavy bolter. But DjCrusader now owns this bunker. And it's a 1-to-1 cap with the blue team still not even having their natural VP. They have the contested VP. And it looks like the Warboss, I think, got back to his feet again. Delta, I think, struggling a little bit. And our build on our sides, on our Space Marine blue side, Typhus has lost his scout squad, and he's just gone for the ASM, which is not terribly common for Techmarine players. Techmarine players are the hero with which players will most commonly forego the Assault Marines entirely. Right there, we saw a Heavy Bolter Devastator squad get wiped entirely from a Manticore, and a Manticore can do that. It can wipe certain squads in one volley. Suppression teams are one of those squads that it can wipe in a single volley. Usually you need to retreat, and then usually if you press X on your suppression teams, you'll be fine. But usually if the first missile hits before you can retreat them, usually then you can be really, really screwed. You can lose a Devastator squad entirely. And the Manticore is one of the hardest counters to set up teams in the game. Assault Marines jump right into this blob, but again, dangerous game jumping into Sluggaboys. If anything, those Sluggaboys did not punish as hard as they could have. And we have a lot of these Space Marine units also getting low on health, and they're retreating. And yeah, he should actually just retreat. Should not overextend right here, both Necrophagist and Typhus, because they do have this relay beacon right here. They can be back right in the fight. I mean, this hugely overextended Tactical Marines. Angels of Death to try to keep them alive, and then the Assault Jump. I mean, that was hugely overextended, and also a really good save at the same time. The combination of that Angels of Death as well as the team play from Typhus. So a great save to kind of compensate for... There we go with Plasma Cannon Devastators hitting the terrain and accidentally friendly firing themselves. But a great save to compensate for kind of a bad play in the first place, that really overextending those Tactical Marines much more than they should have been. Ooh, very nice blast on that Imperial Guard bunker. Plasma Cannon Devastator, a great way of taking out any kind of building in the middle of any kind of building from a distance. And here we go with some Stormtroopers that were going really, really quickly. It must have been buffed by maybe the Lord General's war gear. Oh my god! Wow. Yeah, I mean, that was one rocket. They actually pointed out that was one Manticore rocket. That was not one... And a very nice play also to take out that turret. The combination of that the tank plus the barrage, and then the follow-up to finish it off with those Stormtroopers who had infiltrated behind enemy lines and took them out. I've been watching down here a lot. Let's go back up here where ThongSong is fighting against the Grey Knights. Ultimately looks like a battle going in favor of... Oh. Alright, that was really bad. If I thought that was that basically just this improvised explosive. Like, if that detonated in that retreat path to all those guardsmen, that could have been really, really bad. But of course, that actually that improvised explosive actually belonged to ThongSong, so he's not gonna kill his own units in retreat. So we have a whirlwind. I don't know, maybe to try to provide their own artillery to answer back to that Manticore, but the whirlwind really not on par with the Manticore. But that Manticore has definitely been doing quite a bit for the red team in terms of the squads it's taken out, the suppression teams it's taken out. And here we go. Is this a heavy turret? Oh no, that's a Leman Russ already. Oh my god, I can't believe Kain is already in tier 3. Didn't even realize already in tier 3. And just an airdrop Leman Russ. And of course, one of the advantages of that airdrop Leman Russ, I'm pretty sure, because now I'm actually just having insecure feelings of like, oh, does it? I believe you do not have to pay any power whatsoever to get an airdrop Leman Russ, just requisition and red. And I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I don't know. Anyway, the Leman Russ is taking las cannon shots. These Sluggaboys, it's actually more important than... Oh, okay, very nice. We have a flare from ThongSong. Very nice to drop a flare when it's not even in your lane, so really being a team player. ThongSong, of course, all the way up here, and dropped a flare right here to save Kain's Leman Russ. There goes another tank buster barrage to try to take out this relay beacon. The relay beacon at 750 health is pretty tough for a infield building. Same as a upgraded Imperial Guard bunker. More Manticore strikes. That Manticore is really doing work. Meanwhile, up here we have a bunch of Psy Cannons, mainly just on the strike squads as an answer to this Chimera. Not a terribly strong answer. And we also have tons of Strike Squad models dying. Two is a ton. But Strike Squad models dying nevertheless, and that certainly does cost a ton of requisition. Somebody could repair this bunker. The guardsmen could. I think, if anything, Kain, relatively lacking in repair force right now with only one guardsman squad. So it's actually Delta who's repairing it with his Sluggaboys. Here we go with a Predator to sort of answer back to that Leman Russ. And currently right now, I would say the Predator would probably have an advantage over this Leman Russ doing way more damage. And it doesn't have the extra 200 health, but just doing way more damage right now. The Lehman Russ does not have the Executioner. It still has that default battle cannon. More Manticore Strikes going in. It's just a crazy, crazy engagement with Tactical Marines yet again overextending severely, walking right into these Slugger Boys. These Slugger Boys, if anything, I'm surprised that they don't have as many levels as they do, with given how relatively fed it looks like they've been. And the Slugger Boys should stay in here and press their advantage right in here. I think that, yeah, very, very smart. Or, I don't know, not so much. I mean, he just needs to press the advantage right here because he has these Slugger Boys, and there were no squads right there that could actually fight those Slugger Boys. Unfortunately, I think he responded a little bit slowly, so he wasn't able to finish off the relay beacon. But if a lot of those squads had just stayed there by this relay beacon, he could have really threatened to wipe out squads as well as a lot of models just by having the Slugger Boys attack them. But the relay beacon does finally go down with some fire from this Lehman Russ. Meanwhile, over here, we have a Strike Squad. Strike Squads with Psy Cannons. A very, very soft vehicle counter. But nevertheless, ThongSong apparently lost his Chimera at some point. I've been focusing so much on the bottom, not as much on the top. Meanwhile, we got Typhus saying that he has a nuke, which is actually really, really good as a way of dealing with this Imperial Guard bunker and Wa Banner combo. Since one of those beams will destroy the Wa Banner, and then the Orbital Bombardment is actually very good against these squishier squads. Guardsmen, the Shooter Boys, it will be very good at killing the Shooter models, although the Shooter Knobs might survive. Nevertheless, if he can use that to take out the buildings as well as catch some of these units in retreat, maybe wipe a Guardsman squad, that can be very, very powerful to give the blue team basically give them this bottom VP. Allow them to take the advantage in this bottom. But as is, we're going to have another Manticore Strike, and there goes the Orbital Bombardment right on top of this, catching things in retreat. I think we're going to have a wipe on that Guardsman squad. We're definitely going to see this bunker taken out. Unfortunately, this Predator needs to back up, so bunker goes down, and there we go. Guardsman squad killed, as well as the Wa Banner's still up, so it only got hit very peripherally. But already we have a battle wagon. A battle wagon, that's going to be a little bit tough to deal with. And the Space Marine players, and especially the Space Marine, oh, there's a grenade going in right on those Tactical Marines. They need to get out of there. Not paying attention to that grenade, nearly loses a Tactical Marine squad, a level 3 Tactical Marine squad at that, still with a Flamer. Might want to switch that out. Here we go with some Interceptors with only 2 models left, chasing down some Guardsmen, and they actually win that engagement. One Guardsman squad nearly dead as well. So quite a few losses all around. Necrophagist a little prematurely saying that he's done. He really isn't. Especially considering the way that the players on the other teams have been hit. Unsupported Terminators, not such a good idea right now, though. Especially now with this Warboss around, with this Orc Battle Wagon around doing melta damage from its cannons, meaning it actually does bonus damage to the super heavy infantry armor of the Terminators. In fact, Terminator's not that great of a choice against a Battle Wagon. I think Necrophagist maybe should have invested in a Predator. Or at the very least, he needs something else just to deal with the Battle Wagon. The Terminators do nothing to the Battle Wagon, and they actually get hit quite hard by it. There we go with the las cannon taking shots, as well as a Melta Bomb. This might be a 100% snared Battle Wagon, and now it's actually not a bad idea for these Terminators to force melee with their 30 DPS, or roughly, I believe it's 32 or 33 or 34, that's what it is, 34 DPS Power Fist. And already this Battle Wagon in a ton of trouble. I think it might just barely get out of there. It's just barely out of the las cannon's firing arc, and it just barely gets out of there, driving over its own units, flying in the air. It's still in a bit of trouble. Meanwhile, over here, Grey Knight's forced off, and DjCrusader has not gotten any tier 2 unit whatsoever. Maybe he got some, like, Justicars, and he's also got a fully kitted out Bro Captain, Nemesis Force Halberd, Holy Armor of Titan, and the Teleporter Pack. But he did not get any units in tier 2, instead choosing to go straight to tier 3 and getting out some Paladins. Paladins, when I think about it, a pretty good choice, I think, in general. First of all, in general, and I think particularly against the Imperial Guard. The Imperial Guard, since he's up there against ThongSong, it'll be good against any of the potential vehicles that might come out of the Imperial Guard, or at least relatively speaking, since Paladins are pretty much what Grey Knights use to deal with vehicles. These Paladins right here, and then upgrading to a Psy-Cannon, I think a good choice, just so you get some of that ranged firepower, that extra range firepower, as well as getting some potential AV DPS. But the blue team really pushing in. Necrophagist warning not to overextend. Meanwhile, back up here, we have some Terminators, and they will certainly take quite a bit of damage from Plasma Guardsmen, but they will also inflict heavy losses on Plasma Guardsmen. Looks like one strike squad actually goes down, though, with these guys just being a little overzealous, maybe. And here we go. We just might have this Executioner Leman Russ go down. It should be able to get finished off by ranged fire. There we go. And that was probably a hammer hit, actually. And these Catachans overextended and doing nothing. I wonder if we'll even have a teleport by the Interceptors. Might not be able to kill the Catachans, but still could probably bleed a few models, especially since they're getting pretty close to dying. But I think the blue team actually doing very, very well now. ThongSong is actually taken. He's down to a single Guardsman squad and his Catachan Devils. So I think the blue team is doing pretty well, but they've had a VP deficit for most of the game, so they do need to be careful with that. New Leman Russ for Kain. And there we go with a Cyclone Missile Barrage. Cyclone Missile Launcher, a better upgrade these days than it was in retail, does more damage. And it's kind of nice to have it because you actually get an ability on your Terminators. Of course, you can get an ability on a Terminator with a heavy flamer, but this warrior serves a different purpose. Does some AV, it's long range, can do some disruption. And the Terminators still keep very, very high range DPS even with this, so as opposed to the Assault Cannon for the Terminators is something that increases their damage but doesn't really give them any kind of extra functionality. There we go, good teleport, because a Manticore is extremely, extremely powerful against Terminators, doing a huge amount of damage to them. There we go with a rocket run. I don't think took out any squads. Certainly Devastators from Necrophagist came very, very close, though. And we have a second bunker, probably going to have one repair, one meta bunker. And I think this Land Raider is overextending now. It has been snared. It is being shot at by this Leman Russ, by these tank buses. This has to be a dead Land Raider. Definitely overextended. Using it as an assault vehicle, and still here, frankly, hoping to disrupt those tank busters with the frag assault. But there's also a commando squad right here that has a rocket launcher as well. So poor play from Typhus right there, hugely overextending that Leman Russ. Meanwhile, we have a Venerable Dreadnought drop right here. That's a little questionable. Venerable Dreadnought might be able to take out this Leman Russ if it gets some good positioning. But actually, the Leman Russ is just going to get right out of there. And already, oh no! I think we have an offensive charge. Terrible idea. This is probably going to be a dead Venerable Dreadnought as well. Now if the Leman Russ actually starts going back, it might even just be able to take out this Venerable Dread. Venerable Dread at 600 health. I think it's not a good situation. It just might get out of there alive. But we also have a Warboss right here who could switch targets away from this Apothecary and go for the Venerable Dreadnought. I think the Venerable is just barely going to get out of there alive. But there's still a Warboss right here. I think he's actually going to take it out. Is the Emperor's Fist on cooldown, or he just doesn't have enough energy? And there goes the Venerable. It actually gets hit, so I don't like that Venerable Dreadnought play. Meanwhile, Terminator's also very low on health. It's been right now it's a 1-to-1 cap, relatively even VPs now, so the blue team, I don't think they did well in that last engagement, but they have at least relatively evened up the VPs, and they're also about to get a double cap. Meanwhile, back over here, I pretty much haven't been watching the top lane that much. And the Castricans actually weren't really able to stay there. Castricans, of course, extremely powerful. One of the best range units in the game at the moment, for just really ridiculous damage. But I guess the combination of these paladins as well as the strike squad was just still a little bit too much. The strike squads with levels going to be doing some decent range DPS, especially with that Psy Cannon, and the paladins themselves actually doing a bit of range DPS. So actually probably scared off the Castricans, who, although very powerful, although do a lot of damage, still not an incredibly tough squad. If we take a look, they have only 1,200 health distributed between 5 models. Oh, wow! 3 Vanguard models die in retreat from that Manticore. Huge reinforcement cost for Typhus. Meanwhile, back over here, we have Delta up here helping out ThongSong. ThongSong with hardly any units, and these paladins actually now in a ton of trouble and getting completely overrun by Slugger Boys. And DjCrusader getting hit incredibly hard, trying to answer back with an Orbital, which is a very spiteful answer, but ultimately it's not going to do a whole lot. It might do a little bit to these Castricans. Not even going to take out the Castricans because it knocks them away from the... It knocks them out. But DjCrusader lost a huge amount of things right there. I think especially keeping those Terminators or Paladins in too much against those against those Slugger Boys. Those Slugger Boys actually being used with their incredibly high DPS to actually counter a tier 3 unit like Paladins. And although I did not catch that whole engagement, I have a feeling that maybe Delta used Call the Boys while he was up there. Stormtroopers getting disrupted. Stormtroopers at level 4 with 1399 hit points. And there we go with the Cyclone missile launcher nearly taking out the Manticore. If that was a level 1 Manticore, that would have been taken out. But that's not a level 1 Manticore because of all the damage it's been doing and all the models it's been killing. Level 4 now. DjCrusader, meanwhile, back over here, looking at DjCrusader's resources, I would say he's probably going for a Grey Knight Terminator squad, since he's just saving up resources, kind of floating them when he has so few squads. Meanwhile, up here, we still have those Grey Knight Paladins, and of course, they do very, very well chasing with some pretty decent range DPS while trying to close in for melee. And still, those Paladins are winning a lot of engagements, a lot by themselves, and I mean, they are extremely powerful, so 1-to-1, they should beat most of those Guardian squads. ThongSong just really lacking squads. We might have this Lascannon Devastator go down, and they actually don't. Ooh, wow, and the Whirlwind actually goes down to Manticore Fire. And we have now double Leman Russes from Kain. One is level 2, the other one is not level 2, but it is getting an Executioner Cannon. This one also has an Executioner Cannon, so, I mean, not an Executioner, a Vanquisher Cannon. And a double Vanquisher Leman Russes will actually do quite well in this lane, I think. They actually will beat that Lascannon Predator, doing less damage, but first of all, there are 2 of them, and then they have that damage resistance as well as having longer range. So it's now actually a VP advantage for the blue team, 111 to 67. Vanguard's jumping in and doing I don't know what, going for the Manticore, just desperate for that Manticore kill. And they're not doing a whole lot. I don't think those Vanguards have... It says they do have the Power Fist, and now they're taking it out. And I think they will finish it off. But at what cost? They might lose that Vanguard squad for taking out that Manticore. I don't know if that's a good trade, and those Vanguards are not even moving, and they actually die right there. Not even moving in retreat, really. And Typhus literally has nothing. He's got a level 6 Techmarine that is incapacitated. Necrophagist, yes, he needs to use that ability. He needs to use Laraman's Blessing. These Terminators need to be very, very careful. Ooh, and those Slugger Boys get caught in retreat, kind of baited into it, I think. Still not going to do a whole lot. Definitely not going to kill them. But still kind of funny. Necrophagist says GG. GG, it's... I mean, they're still fighting this. The Bro Captain is here all by himself. Actually, double Paladins from DjCrusader. And we have a Commissar Lord trying to be sneaky and back half that point because ThongSong isn't in a whole lot of position to fight all those units. And his Kashkins are out of position. And he's going for a third Kashkin squad. Meanwhile, Necrophagist with 2 squads of Terminators, both with the Cyclone missile launcher. This could be the final engagement with it. Now, is that a rocket runner? No, that's a creeping barrage. I think if the blue team, if the red team wants it, they need to decap with those commandos since they decap and cap faster. So they actually have managed to even out the VPs at a 1-to-1 with the commandos actually still going for the cap. And I actually feel like, oh, Kain actually lost one of his Lehman Russes. I must have missed that, but there goes also a Predator. Both Predators went down for the blue team. Not such a good situation for them. But meanwhile, ThongSong needs to find some way to keep 2 Terminators, 2 Paladin squads off of his natural VP. Although, as it is, the Paladins actually now suffering immensely, I think because of the fact that they're getting focus fired by these Kashkins, some of which have plasma guns. And I think we even had a Flak Jacket execution on some squad right here, but the Shooter Boy squad from Delta going to go down. And 1 Paladin actually gets out of there. 1 Paladin squad gets out of there with 1 Paladin model. And I think these Paladins right here, are they going to just go for the cap? No, they're actually still fighting. And they actually need to get the hell out of there now because there's actually 3 squads of Kashkins. We also have the Kain16 Devils right there who could melee those Paladins for bonus damage. They even have their 1 Melt-A-Gun that does bonus damage as well. And then we just have these Kashkins doing crazy DPS in general and bonus damage on the plasma guns. A mine drop from ThongSong right here in the bottom lane. But we also have a lot of firepower coming out from basically from TLV Kain from the red team on this side. It's going to be very hard to take that capture point. I think it's actually going to need to involve these Terminators, and then these Kashkins just need to find some way to distract or tie up these Kashkins. But I think it needs to be the Terminators who capture the points. We do have a las cannon that took a shot. It did hit this Lehman Russ, but the Lehman Russ is also receiving repairs. And this is just a regular autocannon Predator. No las cannon. Does not have extra armor either. It's actually a 1-0 cap for the red team. And it's now 36-7. 1-0 cap for the red team. I think Necrophagist, oh, he does not have anything to do. He can't use Angels of Death right now. He's actually going to lose his Terminators, I think, trying to go for this point. And it's actually going to go in favor of the red team. 15-7, 13-7. Red team gets this top VP, and the blue team could not take back this bottom VP. All right. So, really good game actually, and this was sent in to me by Necrophagist, answering my call for my relative lack of replays. I got a ton of replays. I went from not having enough to having too many. Gonna try to cast them all though. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night.